What effect did the depression have on your marriage?
That you try and hurt yourself on the outside because you want help. But I was actually crying out because I wanted to get better.
And as you saw, he's more than happy to go down those steps and join the other children.
In a courtroom twist no one expected, Queen Camilla is said to have broken down as new claims emerged. Could Diana's voice from the past be exposing long-buried truths? The evidence might change royal history forever. Keep watching, and be sure to subscribe for all the explosive updates still to come. They say some truths don't stay buried forever. And now, a quiet whisper is turning into a loud storm. Behind closed doors, something has been brewing, documents allegedly hidden away for years. And not by accident. According to insiders, these files were kept from the public at the urging of powerful forces. Forces that didn't want certain names mentioned. One of those names? Queen Camilla. Suddenly, the courtroom becomes the center of attention. Diana's former lawyer steps into the spotlight. In his hands, a thick black folder, old, worn, but said to contain the kind of truth that could shake the highest walls of the palace. And just like that, all eyes turn to Camilla, silent, still, but clearly bracing for what's about to be revealed. What's inside this folder, and why was it sealed for so long? Stay with us, because this is only the beginning. To understand the weight of these allegations, we need to rewind. In the early 1970s, Prince Charles met a woman who shared his humor, his love for horses, and his taste for quiet company, Camilla. Their connection was natural, effortless even. But tradition, trend naming, and family expectations pulled them apart. Eventually, Charles married a young woman who seemed to embody everything the crown wanted, Princess Diana. At first, it looked like a perfect storybook romance. But it wasn't long before cracks began to show. Diana's charm won over the public, but behind the scenes, she was hurting. Despite the wedding, Charles never truly let go of his bond with Camilla. Diana, though graceful in public, was very aware. She sensed the emotional distance, the late-night phone calls, the inside jokes, the way Charles looked at someone else. She once said, "There were 3 of us in this marriage." That quote stuck with people. It revealed more than tabloids ever could. Was it just complicated love, or was there something else beneath the surface? Now, back to the courtroom. Camilla enters with her usual poise, but there's something different this time. A tension you can't miss. She sits, eyes forward. The room is packed. Journalists, onlookers, even royal staff. Everyone is waiting. Diana's lawyer opens the black folder slowly, as if even he feels the weight of its contents. The first item, a photograph. At first glance, it's innocent. Charles and Camilla smiling at a public event, but the lawyer claims this moment was staged, planned, released strategically during a time when Diana was quietly working behind the scenes. Then came the letters, handwritten by Diana. Her familiar, elegant handwriting fills the pages. One letter talks about being deliberately excluded from events. Another mentions how media moments seem to erase her presence altogether. And these weren't just thoughts. They were filled with dates, details, and direct mentions of key figures in the palace. Letters never mailed, words never shared, until now. Next came the recordings, not grainy, not vague, but clear. You hear conversations between palace insiders discussing how Diana should be portrayed in the press. One woman's voice suggests that making her look fragile would shift public attention. Then, one name surfaces again, Camilla. The room grows still. The atmosphere has changed. Then, it happens. A recording of Diana herself begins to play. Her voice, calm but filled with emotion, fills the courtroom. She speaks about how her honesty was turned against her, how she felt misunderstood, how certain people seemed to benefit from her being seen as unstable. She talks about silence, how the people she once trusted stopped defending her, not because they didn't care, but because someone didn't want them to. Then the courtroom hears Camilla. Not a public speech, but a private conversation. She allegedly suggests to a royal aide that portraying Diana as too emotional was working in their favor. The audio clips keep coming. Each one paints a more complex picture. A press assistant speaks of timing releases to distract from Diana's humanitarian work. Another staffer claims that photos were carefully selected to cast certain impressions. It's not just speculation anymore. It's not gossip. These are the building blocks of something much deeper, a quiet strategy carried out in whispers and memos. And in that room, hearing Diana speak again after all these years, something shifts. As the evidence piles up, something begins to happen that no one expected. Camilla, who had remained composed all this time, starts to falter. Her eyes drop. Her hands tremble slightly. For a moment, she closes her eyes, perhaps to gather herself, or perhaps to block out the courtroom's gaze. Then quietly she speaks. "I never thought it would go this far," she says, almost in a whisper. Gasps ripple through the room. Some lean in, others hold their breath. It's not quite a confession, but it feels like something close. A crack in the wall, a rare moment of emotion from someone who's always been behind the scenes. Some see it as genuine remorse, others a performance to shift sympathy. Either way, her words land heavily. "I just didn't want to be left out," she adds. Simple, honest, and loaded with meaning. But was it too late? For years, the media painted the relationship between Diana and Camilla as one thing, a rivalry over love. But the real story? Much more layered. Diana wasn't just admired, she was adored globally. Her ability to connect with people, to break royal norms, made her a symbol of compassion and strength. Camilla, in contrast, lived in the shadows. To many, she was the other woman. And while she eventually gained a title and a place beside Charles, the public's trust never came easily. This wasn't just about Charles. It was about legacy, power, and public image. Two very different women, representing two very different ideals of royalty. Diana, with her authenticity, was unpredictable. That made her powerful, but also threatening to those invested in a more traditional image. If Diana stayed visible, would Camilla ever be accepted? Would the public ever truly embrace their relationship? One question lingered in the room. Was the competition ever really fair? As the lawyer continued, something deeper began to unfold. This wasn't just about two women, it was about an entire system. He presented emails from royal staff, carefully worded but telling. One advised the team to step back from the spotlight before Diana's now famous TV interview. Another suggested that emotional narratives could help shift public attention. Then came meeting notes from Charles's team. The focus? Reinventing Camilla's image, making her look steady, calming, relatable. But to do that, Diana's public presence had to be dialed down. A former press aide took the stand and revealed she was told to highlight Camilla's strengths, even if it meant sidelining Diana. When asked who gave the order, she hesitated, then looked up. "It came from very high up," she said. The courtroom was silent. No names were spoken, but everyone knew what that meant. A strategy built over time, carefully orchestrated, quietly executed. Then a slideshow began. First, Charles and Camilla at a polo match, seemingly spontaneous but time-stamped to align with Diana's hospital visit. Next, a smiling Diana attending a charity event, but the newspaper headline beside it criticized her for being distant. The lawyer pointed out the media didn't witness the full event, only what they were allowed to see, and finally, a photo of a royal family gathering. But Diana's image had been edited out before it went public. That one edit said more than words ever could. In these photos, a story was being written and rewritten without Diana's permission. What happened inside that courtroom didn't just stir up headlines. It reignited something much deeper, the world's connection to Princess Diana. Within hours of the court session ending, something incredible began to unfold. Social media timelines were filled with black and white photos of Diana. Old clips of her walking through hospitals, kneeling to speak with children, or embracing people others ignored were being shared again, this time with new meaning. Her voice echoed across platforms. From that powerful 1995 interview to lesser-known charity speeches, people began listening again, not for gossip, but for truth. What once felt like emotional outpouring now sounded courageous, strategic, necessary. Her words were never desperate. They were warnings we didn't fully hear until now. And then came her personal diary. Until recently, only known to her closest family, it was brought forward by her sisters, who had stayed mostly silent through the years. With trembling voices, they shared passages Diana had written about feeling watched, misrepresented, and isolated. She questioned why support was slowly vanishing and whether her public image was being shaped without her consent. The diary wasn't bitter, it was honest, painfully so. Her sisters admitted they hadn't realized how deeply she struggled to maintain her voice in a world that didn't always want to hear it. One sister confessed, she smiled for everyone, but her letters were where she told the truth. Then came another wave, people across the globe sharing their own Diana moments. Teachers, nurses, artists, and young women posted about how Diana inspired them to speak up, care more, and lead with compassion. The hashtag Diana's Voice began trending alongside #NotMyQueen and #TruthForDiana. Memorials popped up in major cities: London, Paris, New York, Sydney, Nairobi. People laid flowers, lit candles, and stood quietly beside posters of Diana smiling with her sons or comforting someone in need. And it wasn't just fans or the public. Journalists who had once followed her daily were now reflecting on what they missed or ignored. One veteran reporter admitted, "We wrote the headlines we were fed. We didn't ask why the stories were always about drama, not service." Even younger generations, many who weren't alive when Diana walked among crowds, were moved. Teenagers uploaded reaction videos to her interviews, breaking down her words like they were discovering something precious and timeless. And that's what it became, timeless. A new documentary was fast-tracked. Streaming platforms updated their libraries with specials about Diana's life, this time focusing on her work, not just the scandal. Publishers rushed to reprint her letters and authorized biographies. Suddenly, the woman they once labeled as emotional was being reintroduced as brave, outspoken, and far ahead of her time. And through it all, Queen Camilla remained quiet. She stayed out of the spotlight, and perhaps that silence spoke volumes, because no public statement could undo what the world was now witnessing. Even inside royal circles, things were shifting. Aides reportedly felt uncertain. Charles was said to be avoiding public appearances. Discussions began, not officially, but seriously, about what it meant for someone to hold a title when the public trust had changed so drastically. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read everything. And if you're curious about what role Charles may have played in all this, click on the video appearing now on your screen. And of course, like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into stories that still shape our world today.